I still remember the way the sunlight bounced off that glass right before it shattered across my face. That was the moment everything flipped. My name's Malcolm Carter, and until that day, I thought I'd seen it all: combat tours, overseas courtrooms, stacked with high-stakes prosecutions, even the back rooms of Washington, where power trades hands with a smile. But nothing prepared me for being treated like a suspect on my own driveway in the house I'd worked my entire life to buy. When I first pulled up to Rosewood Hills, yeah, that's the name of the place, you'd think it was a movie set. Trimmed hedges, shiny Bentleys, kids riding scooters with matching helmets. I was 53, newly appointed head of the Federal Justice Bureau, moving into a 6,000 square foot colonial I paid for in cash. Folks smiled with tight lips, then pulled their dogs a little closer when I walked by. I laughed it off. After all, hadn't I earned the right to laugh it off? Inside, the movers were still unpacking my vinyl collection and my late mother's antique piano. I was wearing a soft gray hoodie and jeans, no badge, no security detail. My son, Marcus, had called earlier, warning me, "Dad, maybe you shouldn't go alone." But I wanted to feel like a normal guy at least once. I told him, "Son, if I can handle federal task forces, I can handle a cul-de-sac." So later that evening, I took my pride and joy, a rebuilt '68 Camaro, for a slow cruise around the neighborhood. Windows down, soul music humming. Felt good. But in Rosewood Hills, a black man in a muscle car equals suspicious vehicle. I didn't know 3 different neighbors were already calling the watch captain. By the time I pulled back into my own driveway, the flashing blue lights were already bouncing off my garage door. He came out of that cruiser like he'd been waiting his whole life for a moment like this. Officer Ryan Whitaker, mid-30s, jaw clenched, hand on his holster. "License and registration," he barked, shining the flashlight dead in my eyes. "Officer," I said calmly, "this is my home. I just moved in." He tilted his head, smirking. "Step out of the vehicle, sir." My heart did that old familiar drum beat, the one every black parent warns their kids about. "Keep your hands visible. Speak slow. Don't make sudden moves," I told him. "My registration's in the glove box wallet in my back pocket. I'm going to reach slowly." "Just do it," he snapped. Neighbors were gathering now, some with their phones up. One guy across the street, the same one who called me contractor the other day, was whispering to his wife. I felt my patience fraying. "Officer Whitaker," I said, my voice steady but low, "I've provided ID. There's no legal reason for me to exit my car." He leaned closer to the window. "Last chance." And that's when I reached up to hit record on my dash phone mount. "I'm going to record this for both our safety," I told him. The sound of glass shattering. "It's funny how loud it is up close," cut me off mid-sentence. His baton came down with everything he had, and safety glass rained over me, stinging my cheek. Before I could blink, he'd reached through the window, yanked the door open, and grabbed me by my shirt. Out he roared, dragging me onto the driveway like I was some two-bit burglar. Knee on my back, cuffs biting my wrists, my face pressed to concrete. I had paid for, I thought. This is how it ends. After everything, I turned my head just enough for my voice to carry. "Officer Whitaker," I said, "you've made a mistake tonight you'll never forget." I wasn't threatening him, I was stating a fact. Sirens came from all directions. Another officer arrived, a Latina woman with steady eyes. She took one look at my ID and went pale. "Oh God," she whispered. She pulled Whitaker aside, hissed something in his ear. I heard him say, "No, can't be." But it was. And in front of neighbors and cell phones and flashing lights, they uncuffed me. I stood up slowly, brushing glass off my hoodie, blood dripping from my hand. "Thank you," I told the woman officer calmly. "Now preserve this scene exactly as it is." By dawn, the footage was everywhere, me bleeding in my driveway, him kneeling, begging for forgiveness. The story of the most powerful black man in law enforcement, profiled like a rookie delivery driver. The hashtags were trending. Politicians were calling. But inside my kitchen, sitting with an ice pack on my hand, it was just me and my wife, Camille, staring at each other, wondering what this meant for our lives. See, I'd spent decades telling people the system could be fixed from the inside. But here it was showing its teeth to me in my own driveway. My son Marcus arrived furious. "Dad, let's bury him in court," he said. "Make an example." Camille put her surgeon's hands on my shoulder, or maybe she whispered, "Make a change bigger than one man." That night alone in my study, I thought about every time I'd been stopped on my way to court, every time someone asked whose car I was driving, every black kid's face I'd seen go pale under flashing lights. And I decided this wasn't going to be swept under the rug. Not this time. I opened a federal civil rights investigation into the Rosewood Hills Police Department. Folks called it overkill. I called it overdue. Complaints started pouring in: delivery drivers, teenage kids, even off-duty nurses, all telling the same story. Stopped, questioned, humiliated for existing where they didn't belong. One officer, Tanya Ruiz, risked her career to leak internal memos orders to maintain neighborhood integrity, which everyone knew was code. We pieced together a paper trail showing how the department rewarded high numbers of suspicious stops, how the neighborhood watch captain funneled names to sympathetic officers. And then something unexpected happened. Ryan Whitaker asked to meet me. He came into my office looking like he hadn't slept in weeks, eyes hollow. "I never meant to," he started. I cut him off. "This isn't about me, Officer Whitaker. This is about a pattern." He looked down at his hands. "We were trained to do it. Not on paper, but in practice. Keep certain people uncomfortable. Keep the neighborhood clean. You follow those unwritten rules, you get the overtime, the good sheriffs. You question it, you're out." He sighed. "I want to help fix it, but I'll be branded a traitor." I told him straight, "You already broke something that night. Maybe you can help build something now." He hesitated, then nodded. "All right, I'll testify." That's how the big public hearing was born. Media camped outside City Hall. Protesters on both sides, some waving signs saying equal justice, others shouting, "Back the blue." I walked through that crowd alone, making eye contact with everybody, feeling the tension crackle like a summer storm. Inside, under the hot TV lights, I told the commission, what happened in my driveway wasn't an isolated incident. It was ordinary. The only unusual thing was who it happened to. Then I laid out the evidence memos, body cam footage, witness statements. When it was Ryan Whitaker's turn, the whole room held its breath. He started with a whisper, then built to a confession that rocked the city. This was deliberate, coordinated, rewarded. Captain Monroe knew. City officials knew. Neighborhood leaders kept lists. Names, dates, even text messages from a private racist group. He gave it all. By the time he finished, the chamber was silent, except for the sound of reporters hammering their keyboards. It wasn't just one bad cop anymore. It was a machine, and we'd finally pull back the curtain. The fallout was fast. The police chief resigned. The mayor announced a civilian oversight board. The Justice Department moved to place the department under federal supervision. My phone blew up with calls from other cities asking how to review their own practices before facing a similar reckoning. 6 months later, I stood at a podium in front of a new graduating class of Rosewood Hills police cadets. This time the room didn't look like a country club. It looked like America. Men and women from every background trained under a new curriculum built on community trust, not intimidation. In the front row sat Calvin Turner, a delivery driver whose complaint we'd once ignored, now wearing a cadet's uniform. Off to the side, in a community outreach role, stood Ryan Whitaker, suspended, humbled, and trying to make good. After the ceremony, he came up to me, eyes glassy. "Director Carter," he said, "I wanted to thank you for giving me a chance to make amends instead of ending me." I shook his hand, feeling the scars on my palm press into his. "Redemption's a journey," I told him quietly. "Keep walking it." Later that evening, a new neighbor stopped by our house with a plate of cookies. She said she and her husband moved here because of the changes. She said she wanted her mixed-race grandkids to feel welcome visiting. It was a small thing, but it hit me harder than the headlines. Change wasn't just policies and press conferences, it was people choosing differently. And yet I'm not naive. I know one reformed department doesn't fix the whole country. Old habits die slow. But I also know that what started as one broken car window turned into a crack in a wall that had stood for generations. Through that crack, light came in enough to see the rot enough to start cleaning it out. So I'm asking you, you watching this right now, what would you have done? Would you have pressed charges, demanded a head on a platter, walked away? Or would you have used that pain to push for something bigger than yourself? Drop a comment below and tell me where you stand. Is it vengeance we need, or is it transformation? Have you ever been profiled or seen someone else profiled for no reason at all? Hit Like if you believe dignity can be more powerful than rage and subscribe, if you want more stories that dig into the real human side of justice, not just the headlines. Because this isn't just my story, it's ours. And the only way we change it is together, step by step, until the next kid pulled over on the wrong street has more than a phone to protect them. They've got a whole community that refuses to look away.